It's gonna be one of those videos again. Hey guys, it's Adrian. Welcome back to my channel. Today is February 14th, so besides it being Valentine's Day, happy Valentine's Day everybody, it is also Caraval discussion number 2. Today we're discussing chapters 13 to 26. I want to jump right in as fast as I can because last time my video was 16 minutes long, so I want to try to keep it a little shorter than that, even though I have a lot more to say than I did last time. But before I jump in, I want to get quickly the things out of the way that need to be out of the way. First of all, if you have not yet joined the Caraval read-along, it is not too late. As of today, including today, you still have 6 days left to join in. And this book reads really quickly, it's really addictive, and you can still fly through it. So have you not joined in yet? Come along, you got plenty of time still in my opinion. Also, don't forget to be using hashtag ItsOnlyAReadAlong on Twitter, Instagram, blogs, YouTube, whatever you got. We're trying to follow as many as we can. I have links to all my social media in the description box below, so you can follow me there and tag me in anything that you have posted. If you've missed my discussion video on part number 1, chapters 1 to 12, I'll leave that in the description box. And also I will be referencing Kim's discussion video a couple of times here because she's got some really good points that she mentioned in the last video that I didn't talk about in this video. So I'll be responding to those. So in order to be able to get an idea of what exactly it is I'm talking about, you should go watch her video. I'll leave that in the description box below and also a link up here for you, so go check that out too. And finally, the giveaway is still open. It closes this Saturday, February 18th, 2017, in case you're wondering, at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So there's still time to enter the giveaway. Go do that. Link in the description box. Alright, let's get started. I'm not gonna hold up the book the whole time because it just drove me nuts last time. So I'm gonna put it up here. Because I'm an Italian and I need to use my hands. Holy crap, please don't fall on me, that would be bad. Let's start off by talking about the plot. Now, later in this video, I will talk about a few issues that I have with the story, but all in all, I still really love the plot. I think my favorite part of the plot so far, still, is that I'm constantly second guessing myself. Every time I think I know something that's gonna happen, generally, I'm wrong. I'm always on the edge of my seat. I love that in a story. It just feels so good not to know what's gonna happen next or change. A lot of our questions have been sort of answered, sort of not. Others have not been yet answered. Some of things I saw coming, other things I sort of saw coming, but they happened a little bit differently than I thought. One of the things that we found out is that this murder mystery that we were introduced to in the one of the first letters in the beginning of the book is a woman named Rosa, and Rosa happens to be Dante's fiance and Julian's sister, which explains a whole lot. That's why Julian's in the game, that's why Dante's in the game. Dante, as far as we know so far, is not a bad guy. I didn't think he was, but you never know, like I said with this book. Things are just, they're happening crazy left and right. We also found out that Nana was indeed Legend's love. I knew it, called it. However, things happened a little differently than Nana told Scarlet, at least according to Julian. According to Julian, Scarlet and Tella have been invited to Caraval because of Legend's mastermind plan to destroy Nana's life and her children's life and her grandchildren's life because she left him. But I still have lots of questions left. As far as my predictions go on any of these questions, I'll talk about those at the end of the video again. I wanted to highlight a few of the things that I really liked about the plot. Julian told us in the first part of the book that you have to be careful with your secrets, and Scarlet wasn't careful with one of her secrets. She found this elixir of protection in one of the shops, and she needed to tell one of her greatest fears in order to be able to get this. I thought this was really interesting because she tells them that her greatest fear is her father, and then her father shows up, so I'm assuming that this elixir of protection will be meant for her father. But even though her father all of a sudden showed up in the book, I was still surprised by it. I knew he was gonna, but he showed up and then it just adds this whole nother element of suspense. One of the things that I like about this plot is that it's creepy. It's got a dark undertone, but it's not scary. I don't like scary books. I like creepy books. I don't like scary books. It's a fine line. By being this creepy Caraval circus, Caraval fair kind of thing, it brings a whole other level of magic. A few of the things that I loved about Caraval that gave it this creepy undertone were things like the garden. When she went into this garden and the Fountain of Sadness, that's what I decided to call it, the Fountain of Sadness. It just kind of made you feel dark and depressed and hopeless, and I think it was so beautifully written. And right after that, you go into these tunnels which are the tunnels of madness. I'm giving everything my own names, but the tunnels of madness. And you hear this woman screaming, and then you hear this man screaming, and you're like, holy crap. You think maybe it's Julian, but maybe it's not. It just kind of left me sort of terrified and sort of creeped out, but also still really excited to find out who it was. And along the same lines, later we're in tunnels again when Scarlet is running away from her father, and she and Julian are stuck in this room that is shrinking on them because of their fear. Now, I know the shrinking room happens a lot and it's a little overdone, and I will completely agree with you on that, but because things are based on emotion so much, I thought that really worked well in this case. One of my favorite parts, especially descriptive wise goes, because Scarlet is very much focused on color, is when she drank the cider to be able to find her next clue. Everything turned black and white except for what she needed. But in this Caraval that's so richly described by color and whimsy, and all of a sudden it loses that, I could really picture everything going black and white except for certain elements that did have color. I thought that was very well done. Let's talk about the writing. Even though I found a few more issues in the story than I did in the first round, I still really loved the writing. I still really appreciated the fact that it was full of whimsy, and it was full of magic, and it had the creepy element, and it had all these beautiful descriptions of Caraval and what Caraval looked like and how Caraval worked. I think the imagination that Stephanie Garber had to be able to pull something off like this is incredible, and it is applause worthy. I especially loved that the story was somewhere in a happy middle between a plot-driven story and a character-driven story, because I'm the kind of person that really loves a fast-paced plot, but I also need to be able to relate to the characters, and I think a lot of times in a purely plot-driven story, you don't get that, and I do with this book. In moving on to how I felt about the characters at this point, let's start off by talking about Scarlet. Kim had some really good points about Scarlet in her first discussion video, because my first opinion of Scarlet was that she was kind of annoying, but Kim pointed out that she does have some really good qualities about her. And while I 100% agree with Kim, and it did make me like Scarlet a little bit more, I still have a hard time with her. One of the things that I really love about Scarlet's character is that she's starting to realize she's only human. Yes, she wants to save her sister. Yes, she wants to make everything better for her sister. She wants to sacrifice herself for her sister. But she's starting to realize that she's only human, that her future is important too, and that doesn't mean she cares or loves her sister any less. But she's starting to realize that she has her own dreams and her own desires. And I think that's part of her character growth that I think she definitely needed, otherwise she would have been this stagnant, annoying character for me anyway. Tella. I'm a little bit disappointed that we haven't seen Tella yet. I'm still hoping, like Kim said in her video, that we'll get like this dynamic trio, the three of them at the end of the book, and they'll fight and win, hooray, together, because I really love Tella's character and I kind of miss her. But I do see how Scarlet feels that Tella would be the character to fall in love with Legend and go mad, because she's so emotionally driven. One of the things that I will say about Tella though is that while I do agree with Scarlet on one hand, I don't on the other hand, because she's a lot stronger than her sister gets credit for. So I'm very curious to see how that's all going to play out. And then we have Julian. While I do like Julian and I am very curious about him, I'm starting to like him less and less. He's starting to feel a little bit cliche, and I think that has a lot to do with his romance between him and Scarlet. I do like him apart from the romance issue, so I'm trying to separate the two, but I'll be curious to see how this all plays out. Aiko. I think she's going to be more important than she has been right now. I was first wondering if she could maybe be Legend, because earlier in the book it said that Legend never takes on the same face and you do meet him throughout the game in different forms. And because she showed Scarlet pictures of her book after Scarlet died through her dreams, and she showed Dante and Julian, and Scarlet kind of got the wrong impression about Julian, I was wondering briefly if maybe she was Legend, but I'm not 100% sure about that. I don't know. I think that that might be a little bit pushing it, but we'll see. I don't know. Scarlet and Tella's father. I still don't like him. I was not happy when he showed up to Caraval. It just made me feel like he was ruining everything for everybody, even though the situation was really terrible. But Julian said something that made me feel like he might have a tiny bit of a redeemable quality. Julian said that maybe the reason that Scarlet didn't know about who she was going to marry was because her father wanted to protect her. And if her father indeed knows about all these things about Caraval, and that Legend is trying to take revenge on Scarlet and her sister. Maybe he didn't tell her because she didn't want her to tell anybody else so that Legend wouldn't find out. So while I think that Scarlet's father also may be in the island to kind of get them in trouble, maybe there's a tiny bit of me that's hoping that her father's actually there to save them. Tiny little bit of hope. I got a tiny little bit of hope for this guy, just a little bit. Hopefully he makes my tiny little bit of hope worthy and doesn't squish it like a bug, because that would be sad. And now let's move on to the issues. This is the part that kind of disappointed me the most. Up until chapter 12, through the first discussion video, I hadn't found that many issues with the story itself. Kim has found a few issues that I thought were really good that I didn't pick up on, so make sure you go check out her video. But now that we're moving on and that I've been thinking about some things that Kim said, I really did find a couple, and because I love the story so much, it really disappointed me. The biggest issue that I have in the story is the romance and the sexual tension between Scarlet and Julian. I get it. There needs to be a love interest, and Julian and Scarlet falling in love is totally predictable, and it would have been nice if it was well done. Of course you want to have a romance, especially in a YA novel. There's just not very many YA novels without a romance in it. So to say that I wish it wasn't there would be kind of pointless, but I don't like the way that it was done, especially because of Scarlet. On the one hand, you have her being this prude and she's afraid of any kind of physical contact, which makes this amount of sexual tension even worse. And on the other hand, you have Scarlet, who seems like a sexual predator. Like, that's all she thinks about. Like, come on now. Every time he comes anywhere near her, the first thing she thinks about is sex, or sexual tension, or the inappropriateness of the nature. The one thing in the book that almost, if I'm gonna be honest, made me put the book down, if I didn't love the book so much, I probably would have, was when Scarlet had to give up 2 days of her life for these 2 dresses. Julian offered one of his days of life in exchange for her, so that they would both be dead for 1 day instead of Scarlet being out for 2. I thought that was beautiful. That I have no problem with. Go Julian. Be a hero. But when Julian had to give Scarlet some of his blood and take some of her blood for it, Scarlet was like turned on, as if sucking blood is erotic. Like, that's just weird and creepy and how very Twilight. I just didn't like it. It was a beautiful moment. It should have stayed the beautiful moment, and it got ruined because Scarlet was all, ooh, I'm sucking his blood. How very seductive and beautiful. And now, ugh. I know it sounds like I'm really ragging on the book. I really do love the story, but those 2 things, they're just too much. They were just too much for me, and it disappointed me because I was so excited about the book. No book is perfect. Every book has its issues, but this was a big one for me. It was a really big one. And lastly, let's talk about my predictions. Like last time, if you don't want to know what my predictions are, just stop watching now and come back on Sunday, February 19th for my final thoughts and my wrap up of the book. Scarlet's earrings. Something's up with those earrings. I know they're just costume jewelry, and I know that Scarlet's mom gave them to her, but something's up with them besides that, because Julian went out to get them, and I know that Julian's trying to be a good guy, but there has to be a reason that he actually went to go get them. He must know something that we don't know. The Count. I still don't know who the Count is. Kim says she knows, and it's taking me all of my willpower not to ask her to please tell me, because I really want to know. I think still maybe it's Julian, because Julian has a well-to-do family that's always in everybody's business, so it's possible, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure if I've mentioned this before, but I think Scarlet may have some kind of magic. Her Nana did, because of the room changing like I mentioned in the last video. But Scarlet sees everything through color, and all the emotions especially. And I think that goes beyond just beautiful writing. I think that there's gotta be a reason for it. She must have some kind of power. Maybe, and I don't dare to say this because I haven't thoroughly thought this thought out yet, but maybe Scarlet is Legend's daughter? I don't know. The wedding gown that we saw right at the end of chapter 26. This white dress that looks like a wedding gown. Something's up. I know it has to do with Scarlet having to make a leap of faith. Is she gonna have to marry somebody? Is Legend gonna make her marry Julian? Is Legend gonna make her marry himself? Alright guys, that wraps it up for this discussion video. Don't forget to join in next week for discussion 3 and the final discussion for this Caraval read-along on Sunday, February 19th. If you're reading along, that will be discussion on chapters 27 through the end of the book, and I, for one, am so excited to find out what's gonna happen. Let's get started. I got a little cheat sheet going on because I got a lot to say and I need to know what I'm talking about. Scala.